So thank you everyone for coming here tonight to celebrate 15 years with the press. I'm really excited about it, and I can't believe it's been 15 years. Time has really, really flown for me. And then there's days where it feels different, but most of the time it's really great. I started the press to publish translations and work that I find unique, powerful, and that has a really strong voice. And we have published over 200 books. And as of today, we have released in 2020, 13 books so far. And I'm really excited about that. The press is very active. We have a regular reading series, poetry and translation roundtables, a poetry and artist series, pastry with poets, workshops, the Lost Bookshelf Bookstore, and Read America Read. And we have been at the Armory for 7.5 years. So I do hope that it opens soon and a vaccine happens soon. I feel lost without being in the space. So tonight we have actually 3 wonderful, wonderful writers, all part of the New England Poetry Club. And so please check out that website if you're not familiar with it, or if you want to join, there's information there. It's a wonderful club, and it's been in existence for a lot of years. So please, please check it out. So I am not reading bios tonight, but I am going to say a few words about each person. And let me let a couple more people in here. I'm by myself tonight, so there we go. So our first reader is Mary Buchinger, and she is the president of the New England Poetry Club and is author of 3 poetry collections. And I give you Mary.
Okay, hi everybody. Can you hear me okay now? Yeah, okay, good, thank you. So, just need to find my document. Here we go. So, thank you so much to Gloria Mindock, and congratulations on the 15th birthday, the quinceañera of Červená Barva Press. What an accomplishment. I'm just stunned by all that she's able to do and to manage. So thanks again, Gloria, and it's really a pleasure to be here with my compadres, comadres really, with Hilary and Linda. So tonight I'm just going to read 2 poems. And the first one is called American Gothic. It's a poem by Samuel Washington Allen, who was a former leader in the New England Poetry Club. He was also a professor at BU. He was a poet and a lawyer. His pen name was Paul Vesey. So American Gothic by Paul Vesey. And the other note, there's a note with the poem, it says to Satch. And this is to Satchel Paige, who was a star pitcher. So, American Gothic by Paul Vesey. To Satch. Sometimes I feel like I will never stop, just go on forever. Till one fine morning, I'm gonna reach up and grab me a handful of stars, swing out my long, lean leg, and whip 3 hot strikes, burning down the heavens, and look over at God and say, how about that? I love that poem, and I really admire his work. So the second poem I'm going to read is much longer. It's a long meditation, and I find that one tends to write longer pieces when on lockdown. This poem is called Corona, and it's about the virus, not the beer. And it's also about the times. So it's a long poem. It's in segments. It has sections to it. So what it all kind of fits for me anyway under this umbrella idea of Corona. So I will just launch into it. Corona. Radiant, blurry, halo they saw, limning the virian's dark center, like light escaping an eclipsed sun. The researchers, a woman and a man, named it Corona, crown, garland, wreath. Halo, hello, aura of glory, crown of light, divine luster, signature of the sacred. Benvenuto Cellini, the sculptor, the murderer, believed his halo most visible immediately before sunrise and sunset, and in the drier climate of France. I know what he meant. I've felt it in the holiest of moments, when I am holy too. Look for it, friends, I want to say. Look at the light that surrounds me. In my dream, my love and I were lying down in the back of a hearse. We watched the skies, the trees, the sunshine flash through long windows. Dry run, he joked. I laughed and reached for his hand. We are foolish, I thought. Foolish, foolish people after all. She wore the seal like a halo. It was an electronic backdrop, a Zoom background. I am one of them, her head protruding into the company logo. Crowning is the natural way a mammal enters the world. A ring of fire. Something material seeds, burning to make room. The virus rattles its crown and replicates. Where will I put all the crowns? The body wants to know. The organs, fed up, shut down. Magnified, it's a pedaled or spiked medieval weapon. Nimble, clever, brute. Iron morning star, poised to flail. Or a hot cinnamon candy. Each carnelian club, a burst of flavor. I imagine working it with the tongue, the rough, pleasing mouth feel. A sticky burr ball. Let's play catch, an indoor game with Velcro cells, each of us so well equipped. Family tree. Coronaviruses constitute the subfamily Orthocoronavirinae. In the family Coronaviridae. In the order Nidoviralis. And realm Riboviria. Known by relation to other. Quote, Within the past 24 hours, our institution has been made aware of social media activity around our community that violates our core values of respect, diversity, and inclusion, and our policies on discrimination. Individuals who further the oppression of those from historically marginalized groups will not be allowed a place in our community. The putrid smell of the mangled body overwhelmed me in my dream. The vicious murder shook me, and I waked to the stink. Rain, rain, each drop a crown on the pool of water. Crater of displacement within a rise of spires. Creeping Jenny, the green weave of this weed below the blooming periwinkle, depends on its scouts to pop up their periscopes and grow broad-leafed platters, crowns of chlorophyll to keep the whole body going. The squirrel on the roof next door yells at me, stands like a squire looking down at me on the deck. Its deck, attached to the house. Its house. I'm in its way. Whatever I am, I should go away. Supremacy is a convenient thing, an ungodly business where God is unnatural. I want to be a car when I grow up, my son told me. And I, a non-driver, was his declaration an indictment, a hitch, a clue? What does it feel like to be plastic? He asked one day, kneeling on the seat of the subway train. He stroked the naga hide as the walls of the tunnel blinked by. I don't know, I said. Not sure I could even imagine inhabiting the promised eternity, the life after life after life of those colorful, cold molecules. Symbiosis is the other way, a fair house of beehive walls, humming bodies warm in winter, summers of cool winged motion, honeyed walls, and a green, green roof. This is where I want to live. Why are there countries? My son asked. The width of a dandelion leaf depends on the amount of sunlight it receives at a certain stage of its development, a critical period during which the shape of its mature leaf is determined. On a trail in Concord, a beech tree grows out from the crook of an oak. The two extend up as if one tree with two dissimilar trunks. In the notch of their separation, someone has placed a painted rock. Love, it says, in blood red. Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd by kneeling on his neck for 8 minutes, 46 seconds. 526 Mississippis. 52 rounds of happy birthday. 26 hand washings. Chauvinism is an irrational belief in the superiority or dominance of one's own group or people. When I lived in the Andes Mountains, I was tall and white. I was no longer me. I was wanted at the tables of rich people. Touch her, the children were urged. I was the object of my skin. I was a blue carnation. The eye and the eye. The eye is not the eye of inside. When the eyes change, do I? Whose birth in the crowning? Whose crown? Who's crowned? The virus is equipped for movement and dominance, a well-armed protein. Have you been crowned? The crown can take you down. In the gospel of revolution, the crown is made of thorns. A baby is the powerful one the Magi bow to. It was a false spring. Someone kept rising, only to be told, too soon. Too soon. What does truth know of time? As I prayed, my body became moss, green light of the earth, above the earth. The gibbous June moon cut through the thunderhead. Jailbreak moon, searchlight moon. In its wake, light-crowned shards of cloud. My grandfather planted his fields with an eye on the moon, counted the stars within its halo to reckon the coming days of rain. Yesterday, I stood in the median of Massachusetts Avenue, holding a sign of protest. My body, a weapon, physical presence, its stamp on space, self-evident truth. I felt flimsy as my sign, as slight, as vulnerable, a dandelion beside the ditch, bowing in the breeze of cars. Another summer afternoon, when I was a child, I rode beside my father on the tractor, mowing down fragrant, gold-headed weeds. The old sadness rising. Justice equals peace. Pipe dream, pie in the sky, hope against hope, castle in the air. Why so many expressions for this? A sun uneclipsed. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mary. That's incredible. So our next reader is Linda Haviland Conte, and she's the treasurer of the New England Poetry Club and also membership chair. She has taught workshops, been on numerous panels, and is widely published. And so I give you Linda.
Thank you so much, Gloria. Thank you. Oh my God, Mary, we should lock you in the house more often. We get so much beautiful poetry. Wow. Thanks to Cervena Barva Press, and congratulations on 15 years. My gosh, that's incredible for a small local press. You do amazing work. And thank you, Gloria Mindock. And thanks to Hilary for inviting me to read with her, since she's a Červená Barva poet. I have a book coming out with Červená Barva's kissing cousin, Ibbotson Street Press. And it's called Seldom Purely. And our friend Ellen Siro, who's here, requested this poem this evening. She encouraged me to put it forward. So here you go. It's about today, so it's called Today. The news is snapping up our attention, but the facts are lost in the noise. The pundits and tweeters pull our cheeks and turn our faces to their most blatant lies and horrific facts so hard we fail to notice the grays on the edges. We see only sharp edges of discord and blog soldiers at attention, ready to come down hard, numbing us with more noise. What we fear most is a mere slap on the cheek, or even a kiss on the cheek, because we are the ones gone soft at the edges. We put on our most determined look and feign attention and add our clicks to the noise because our lives are hard. We pound our keyboards hard, but from real action, we turn our cheeks. On the streets, we block the noise, don headphones and skulk on the edges, trying not to draw attention. We ignore those we should hold most, though what we hope for most, the thing that is really hard, is that our children need attention. The tears run down their cheeks and wet the soft edges of their mouths, which make no noise. We must make some noise. There are so many of us almost forced to the very edge. The fears will push back hard, but we won't turn our cheeks. We control our attentions, and we'll make some noise about what's hard. The most meek among us will show their cheek. Those on the edges will have our attention. So my book, Seldom Purely, is about, well, some of it's about things that are not purely good. And this next poem is called The Perfectionist's Lament. Even in the fleeting moment when all the guests have gathered and the flowers are perfectly arranged, the champagne chilled, shouldn't someone have said something? Should there have been a song and special dance, even if we stumbled through them awkwardly? Wasn't there someone uninvited sitting home wondering, what the hell is the matter with me? On the radio this morning, a report on the discovery of a pentimento under a painting from Picasso's Blue Period concludes that failure and genius can be found in the same frame. A century after the fact, a modern scan reveals a thoughtful man peering from the canvas, overpainted with a scene of a woman bathing. She is the one who has been admired in a museum for decades. There is nothing so perfect that it has no critic. This next poem was engendered by my stumbling once again upon my husband sleeping to the Science Channel. It's very sleep-inducing because it's just like talk, but if you're up and awake, it becomes very interesting. All of a sudden I get drawn in. So initially there's a quote from what I heard on the Science Channel. Science Channel. The hot spot on the planet is not where it should be. Evidence of supersonic winds. The astrophysicist is a sciencey sort of poet, marshaling the stars from mystery to known. How much can be known just by looking carefully? I go down to the creek. The surface of the water is ruffled, not by breeze, but by the odd writhing of minnows just below. Their ripples recede from me. I could be a predator. I crouch and am still as a heron on the hunt. I watch until I can make out a few individuals and imagine their future swimming in the deeper currents beyond. The ocean whispers in the distance. The sky whirls huge above. The minnows burrow in the shallows, speckled like the seagrass. They toggle and twist, flashing silver, until I raise my arm and they disappear. This next poem is about what many of us are doing these days, cleaning out our houses, sorting things out. On a hot day, I try to imagine life unencumbered in a Manhattan apartment sparsely furnished by somebody else. The wall sconces are plain and shoot their light up to nowhere. I try to sit on the little stick chair and already I don't fit. Back in the frowsy chair I inhabit, I am surrounded by the salvage I cannot deny. Each piece with a story, found at a yard sale, came with the house. Grandmother's reliquaries, painted vials. A heavy omelet of kismet and karma. Keep, toss, file. Piano books from the Conte Music School of Jersey City include a lesson card in Grandfather Pasquale's own hand, marking the page of a scherzino Uncle Louis was to play vivace. But all this lingering makes my own pace retardando, plucking the strings of remembrance. Which of what I leave will be cherished? Photo album, the blue Paris dress, the Balinese frog in the fireplace, a small book of poems. The Balinese frog on a surfboard is the only thing my daughter says she wants from my house. And this last poem is about cherishing things and people. And it's called Cleaning the Cups. To make something good happen, I spend the morning scrubbing old stains out of the teacups that were my grandmother's at the cottage. 3 friends come to sit in the wicker chairs on the porch. They tell stories and we enjoy the view. Leslie's daughter will go to college this fall. Lou teaches painting in Western Mass. Jean has just retired from teaching. We've seen loons return this summer. We tilt our 2-handled cups to our mouths and make cat whiskers with our pinkies extended as we imagine grandmother would have done. The delicate porcelain is translucent as a baby's skin. My friends give advice on everything from child rearing to boat engines. Good gardening is important. It's over too soon. I save some tea to drink cold later when the summer sun sinks behind the dark doily cut by the oak leaves against the cherry-tinged sky. So thank you. I'll leave you with that lovely image. Thank you again.
Thank you. And Hilary Sallick is next. And this year we published her book, Asking the Form. And this is it. and Hilary is the vice president of the New England Poetry Club. And I give you Hilary.
Thank you, Gloria, and hi, everyone. It is a great pleasure to be celebrating Červená Barva Press and its 15 years of bringing books into the world, including mine. Gloria is tireless and generous and visionary, and I am so lucky and grateful to be one of her authors. It's also exciting and deeply satisfying to be reading tonight with Mary and Linda. And it's wonderful to see so many of you here. Thank you all for coming. I want to open with a poem by William Butler Yeats. The Lake Isle of Innisfree. I will arise and go now and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin build there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honeybee, and live alone in the bee-loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore, while I stand on the roadway or on the pavement's gray. I hear it in the deep heart's core. So I have been thinking about how overwhelming life is with all of its demands of attention, the opportunities and dangers, small and large. And so I love to remember this poem, how peace comes dropping slow. These days I find myself feeling anxious, especially as we move toward the start of a school year with so many unknowns. Poetry becomes all the more necessary. Its grounding potential, the way it is made of attention and requires attention and receives attention without demand or pressure, even on Zoom, at least we hope. So it is with this idea that I turn to my own poems now. I'm going to read 5 poems from my collection, Asking the Form. Let's see. Waking. I walked alone, talking to myself, telling what I saw so I could see it. The streets were blank with light, shape, movement. The blindness in me relied on interpretation. I was suffused with color and warm, walking down the new streets. Vision came in pieces. One long branch reached almost parallel to the ground, powerful, delicate with leaf or falling leaf, old with grandeur, roses with yellowing leaves and blue morning glories opening to late day sun were climbing the elegant limbs. I stood in the presence of trees. So the next poem I'm going to read is one that I like, but I feel I've never gotten it quite right. I'm still not really satisfied with it, but I just had to give up. This poem is about a conversation I had with my husband, Bob, many years ago when our son was just a baby. We were driving from the airport to his mother's house in Northeast Texas in the country when we had this conversation. driving through Texas. Imagine a room made of mirrors, and in its center, a candle. Is the room bright as if an infinite number burned there? Will it get brighter as all that light gathers? And when the candle goes out after hours or days, will the room still be light? Outside is a dark road, pastures, shapes of animals disappearing into each other, a string of lights marking the distance. We're on our way, making questions of silence, for there can never be such a perfect container. Before us, a city, faint morning, dusty windshield, and close behind us, moving with us, a baby sleeps, his round head dreaming to one side. Poem of window glass. A window frames our seeing and we forget it's there. Then a moment without hope, we lean our faces against it and discover the glass, cold, ungiving. The window is without ornament. Something streams through the window to fall on us inside where dust lies unmoved. On the other side of the window, liveliness, source, pigeons and clouds going about their business. The window glass stands at the balance, hard transparency, bare ripple of light. The soul in us looks down through window glass to the ground below where snow is sinking in, crusting over, not calling for attention, not demanding, answering. A few years ago, I used to go to the Somerville Public Library and write there, and sometimes I would sit near the shelves of art books. So the next two poems I'm going to read are about paintings. The first describes a painting by Van Gogh. Madame Ginot, the subject of the painting, was painted by both Van Gogh and his friend Gauguin. Madame Ginot, sitting for Van Gogh and Gauguin. She sits in the vibrant yellow room at the green table, thinking. Her solid presence, darkly clothed, carves the air. She has dressed with care for this moment, for the eyes of the artists. On the table before her, an open book, included for sake of composition, could be gloves or umbrella, is not her concern. She is looking away through unsurprised eyes. This is what she expected. The hours filled, the business of years. Each artist is drawing with awe the line of her long, beautiful nose and the form of her body in the wooden chair, the triangular peak of the blue-black ribbon tied into her hair, her brilliant white shawl. Her lips curve with a skeptical patience. She is wondering again what it means to be herself here in this life, as if alone in the humming yellow room. So this next poem, if I can find it, is about a painting by Renoir. And you can see the painting at the Fogg Art Museum at Harvard, but I didn't know that when I wrote about it. I was excited when I found it there. And this poem is also about me and my sister and about a certain place in Maine. And it sort of goes back and forth between the painting and then a lot about me and my sister. Impressionist Reverie. Red hair down her back, the moving blue and green waters around blurred shapes of rocks, the eyes that look within and without through the mind of the painter who saw her. Naked, we leave the house, my sister and I, follow the path through woods, acorns, roots, pine needles under our feet, mushrooms, ferns, and mosses, trails of slugs, down to the high tide, the brimming cove. First I, then she pushes off, laughing at the cold splashing over seaweed, yellow-green grasses out toward deeper currents. Halfway to island we float, talk of curves and shadows, how the whole picture extends itself, water reflecting sky and land, how the house looks from here. We let the bay roll us for a while, pensive, then back to shore. We climb to rock and rest, a little breathless, wrapped in towels, the color of setting sun through red pines, submerged in landscape, like the girl in the painting who is our daughter's age. After her bath, she poses with white cloth drawn casually around her, utterly comfortable among currents of color and paint. All is right. She knows she is right to muse idly here in and of the freshness for as long as she likes. Side by side back in the house, my sister and I look out the window. We paint the sky of horizontal lights. We paint each other, bent over our work. What is she thinking with her dark eyes and parted lips, her wrist bangles that match the rocks on the shore? What vision is she planning? We remember ourselves and make our own plans. And I'm going to close with two more poems that are not in the book. They're newer poems. Ways of Holding. Babe on hip, I once held the child so, or cradled in arms, crook of elbow to pillow the head, those eyes looking up, or my arm a bench where the child could sit against me, held close by my other arm, and watch the gently bouncing view. When the girl carrying the dog said, "Here," and put the animal into my arms, I stood holding it, remembering my skill, but those furry limbs I couldn't quite arrange. Still the dog grew heavy in my arms, as if it liked being there. And here's my last poem. April. I think we are shadows moving in dark houses. Beyond the panes of the house next door, the shadow of a child runs through a room. But the morning is made of complete light, leaning into every crevice, spacious. The trees, flowers hold clusters of snow, toss the light back in pieces into the wholeness. Last night, I dreamed that my mother was pregnant. It was a big surprise. I was wondering, how old is she? Then I guess it can happen even now. My mother was worried about her body. could it withstand that again? But I thought a baby, kind of like when I was a child and begging my mother to have another so I could hold it. I slept late. When I woke and raised the blinds, here was this light. It comes pouring in, a wash, a wave, filling distant cove, bay, inlet of backyard, narrow driveways, all the airy spaces divided by power lines and branches of leaves just beginning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hilary. So can we please give all the readers another round of applause for such incredible work tonight? Thank you so much, everyone. Just really, really incredible. It is an honor to have you three read. So I can't thank you enough, and everyone for coming to celebrate with the press. And I just want to say in my next newsletter, I'll be thanking a lot of people because I didn't last 15 years alone. A lot of people I need to give credit to. So that's it for tonight. And tomorrow we have Vincent Dorio, Elizabeth Quinlan, and Bert Stern. So I hope you will join us tomorrow. And thank you so much, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, the poets.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a nice
everybody.
night.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, all.
Thank you. Thank you, three.
Thank you all.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
Nice reading, everybody.
Thanks, Harris.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everyone.